The iPhone 14 has a really impressive camera this year for casual shooters and content creators. But will it come close to a proper mirrorless camera that's also way cheaper? The goal of this video is to figure out, is the iPhone 14 Pro good enough to be your daily camera, or should you upgrade to a proper dedicated camera? Well, let's find out. Also, if you guys want to check out the iPhone 14 or the dedicated proper cameras I'm going to talk about in this video, make sure to check out the links in the description down below for the best pricing and the most up-to-date pricing. So, what makes the iPhone 14 Pro so exciting this year? Well, there's two huge upgrades for both photos and videos that might put it in the same league as a proper camera. For photos, the iPhone 14 Pro should deliver sharper and more detailed images because it has a larger 48 megapixel sensor, which instantly makes the iPhone better than a regular point and shoot. And second is the cinematic video in 4K, which should make the iPhone look about as good as a proper mirrorless camera by adding the blurry depth of field effect that everyone likes. For both casual shooters and serious shooters, this should be really exciting because it can elevate your photos and videos way beyond phone quality. And spoiler warning, the iPhone results for video are truly shocking. So enough hype, how does it actually look? If you're taking photos and videos with your iPhone, you're mostly shooting casual shots of your daily life, and once in a while, you shoot something a bit more serious like content for online or taking a banger selfie. And the photos straight from the iPhone do look pretty phenomenal, even before editing. And the iPhone also has 4 preset looks that you can add to your photos for just a little bit of spice. The iPhone 14 actually does a ton of processing in camera before you even see your images. But here's the thing, the iPhone 14 actually has 3 cameras, a wide, a zoom, and the 48 megapixel main camera. And if you zoom in, the 12 megapixel files aren't really anything special and they don't hold detail that well. But the main 48 megapixel camera absolutely blew me away. Zooming in, it holds a ton of detail and it actually looks a little bit like a professional camera. However, you will only see the 48 megapixel goodness if you turn on RAW mode. Otherwise, the iPhone is simply going to give you regular 12 megapixel JPEGs that look pretty much the same as the other cameras. And the camera also shoots much slower in RAW mode, probably because the camera's processing a lot more data. But shooting in RAW mode definitely is worth it. I was able to do a ton of heavy editing in Lightroom and get shockingly good results. But let me be clear about something. Compared to a dedicated camera, it doesn't even come close. Even at 24 megapixels, which is about half the resolution of the iPhone 14, the photos look much sharper with much more detail. It's pretty much what you expect from a professional camera, especially when you zoom into the faces. You can really see the subtleties in skin tone. The mirrorless camera blows the iPhone 14 out of the water. Also, if you want to learn how to take epic photos and videos, check out the Camera Boost course in the link down below. You won't regret it. But I think video is probably where the iPhone will impress you guys the most. So the iPhone's main goal is to look like a proper camera, which usually means the cinematic depth of field effect, and that's pretty hard on a phone. Because let's be real, it's a
teeny tiny camera.
But the iPhone results are actually pretty shocking. And that's because the iPhone uses a light radar system to create the cinematic blur around your subject. It uses the light radar to know what is your subject and what parts of the image it should be blurring. And it can keep up even with fast moving objects. The light radar on this is very fast and very, very accurate. And this feature works pretty well on the front facing selfie camera as well. And one thing that I really like about the selfie camera is that it's really sharp, which is exactly what you want when shooting faces. So this ends up being a pretty fantastic vlog camera with a very solid audio. And on top of that, you can easily color grade the iPhone 14 to look like a mirrorless camera, thanks to the professional ProRes 10-bit files that this camera gives you. And if you don't know what ProRes is, it's actually a professional file format that is pretty much used everywhere in Hollywood movies. So with the iPhone 14 Pro, you pretty much just have to hold it and the camera does the rest, right? Kind of. My dedicated camera still definitely holds more detail, but it doesn't look quite as cinematic as the iPhone 14 Pro because I'm using a cheap kit lens on it, and the lens your camera usually comes with doesn't usually look the most cinematic or even that good. It's also pretty shaky because the image stabilization in my dedicated camera is pretty limited. And on a small screen, I have no doubt that the iPhone 14 will definitely look better. However, that's also kind of the problem. Now, the iPhone 14 is designed to make photos and videos look good on this small screen, and if you're viewing photos on social media platforms, you're probably going to get a pretty stellar experience. But if you view the video from the iPhone 14 on a laptop or even an iPad, it becomes pretty obvious that the digital blur is fake and it doesn't really do a great job around hair and ears. The illusion gets broken pretty quickly. Now, majority of you guys are probably watching this video on a small screen and you will probably never notice. So even content creators could benefit from the cinematic mode and your videos could actually compete with other videos shot on higher end cameras. But let me ask you the big question. Is the iPhone 14 good enough to be your main camera, or should you upgrade to a proper camera? So the iPhone 14 looks pretty great and pretty much comes through on all of its promises about great photos and video. And majority of the people out there are probably watching this on their small phone, and that's really where the iPhone shines. If you're a casual shooter or a beginner, the iPhone is a great place to get started. And I do recommend everybody, and I mean everybody, pick up a camera and learn to shoot, because everyone needs to make content, everybody needs to communicate visually, and the iPhone is a great way to get started because you take your photos on your iPhone where it looks good and then you post to a social media app also on your phone. But it does not even come close to a proper dedicated mirrorless camera that was designed to give you just photos and videos. This camera does not make any calls. Haha, I'm funny. So for more serious shooters who want to edit their photos and videos and really create something truly cinematic, you will simply not be satisfied with an iPhone. You'll start to see the limitations of the iPhone pretty quickly, especially on a bigger screen. In which case, I recommend the following cameras. First is the Canon M50. It's a budget, user-friendly camera, and this is probably the camera that most of you should pick up. Second is the ZV-E10. It's again a budget-friendly camera, but it's designed with YouTubers and vloggers in mind. Third is the Nikon Z30, which again is a small compact camera, but it has a really deep grip, so it feels like a big boy camera in your hands. And the Canon R10. It's the camera that I actually used in this video. It's the most expensive, but it's also going to give you the best quality. And yes, this is not the Canon R10, I just needed something to hold in the video. But overall, all of these cameras will allow you to create at a much higher level. However, the iPhone pretty much puts taking great photos and videos on easy mode, and this pretty much allows anybody to get great photos and videos, and I mean anybody. So let me know in the comments down below which camera you guys are thinking of getting, and if you want to learn how to take banger photos and videos, check out the Camera Boost course in the link down below. You will not regret it. Until next time, guys, peace.